Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm very happy to have you guys here. As you can see in today's video, I want to try out some inspirations of different designer or niche fragrances, and all these inspirations are from a website that's called Parfumat.ro. The website is based here in Romania. They sell brands like Latafa, they sell a lot of Arma fragrances, they sell Fragrance World, but they also bring here in Romania exclusively, and not only in Romania, because what I wanted to say after this is that they actually ship everywhere in the European Union. So if you would like to shop any of these fragrances and you are based in the European Union, you can do so, but like I've mentioned, they carry certain brands like Lorinna, like Mad Perfumes, that are exclusively brought by them here in Romania. And I feel like one more, Edossa. So like I've mentioned in today's video, I want to try out the fragrances they have sent me here. Now if you have watched this what was it called, like June favorites and like a small live update, you most likely have saw me mentioning these two fragrances that I got from them. These were sent to me, and I also told you the story on how I came to let's just say get in touch with the brand and everything like this. The first fragrance is 324 Devotion. This is an inspiration to Devotion from Dolce & Gabbana, and I will not review this fragrance in today's video because either I have already posted a review for this fragrance, either I will post a review for this fragrance, a separate review where I go in depth and I tell you how it smells, how it develops. I also compare it to Devotion, so make sure to watch out for that video in case you are interested in this fragrance. And the other fragrance, which I've mentioned in that video, that because I have carried it in my purse, like the font is all gone. Guess what? Now it's even more gone than it was back then, because I wore this fragrance a lot lately, you guys, and the font is basically gone. See, this is something that I feel like the team from Lorinna should think a little bit about. Like, what can they do to make the font last a bit longer? Because, like, if I wipe my finger here, like, the font is gone basically. But again, what I wanted to say, I will not review this fragrance in today's video because I want to have a separate dedicated review to this fragrance as well, because these two, I have been wearing them a lot lately. These are some of my most worn fragrances and I think it shows, honestly. Let me just show you this one and also this one. Yeah. So I am back, you guys, because I realized the microphone was not properly attached and I didn't have this part here. Yeah. But we are back and we are ready to roll. So like I've mentioned, today I want to try out some fragrances from 3 brands. Now I also want to include some samples, one from Lorinna and 2 from Edossa, that you can find. All these 3 fragrances, you can find them on their website. Now these are samples that I received as like a gift for purchase when I purchased myself fragrances from this website. Like I've said in the previous video, I purchased from them Teriac by Latafa, Yara, I've purchased from them Rave Now for Women, and I've also purchased from them, and they sent me the fragrance, so now I have doubles. The inspiration of Lost Cherry. Yeah. So I will share my thoughts on all these fragrances in today's video. So without further ado, let's just start. Of course, you guys, if you are based outside of Romania, something that was brought to my attention, indeed the website doesn't have an English version, like Dubai collection, for instance. If you have any questions about any of the fragrances, feel free to either ask me, you guys, if you want, or if you want to hear like an answer from the owners, just send them an email and they will reply very fast, I'm sure, and they will give you all the details that you are interested in, as well as the shipping cost and everything like this. Because I have to be very honest, I haven't asked what the shipping costs are. Also, something that I want to mention, if you see that my face is shining and if you feel like I'm slowly melting away, is because I am actually slowly melting away. You guys, we have a heat wave here in Romania. Oh my god, I do not remember ever since I was born here having a day or like having a summer as hot as this one. This is like, yeah, crazy things are happening in the world. So let me not get sidetracked and let me just start with a fragrance. Look, let me just start with a fragrance that I love it, but on a man or on a woman who has a taste for citruses in fragrances. When I smell this fragrance, by the way, this is from Mad Perfumes, I think the brand is called, and the fragrance is called GUMIN. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, and this is an inspiration of a fragrance from Tiziana Terenzi with the same name, GUMIN, something like this. Now, this fragrance, actually, I don't know if you can see, now I haven't worn this one myself, Hold on, let me show it to you like this. I haven't worn this one myself, but a friend of my partner tried this fragrance and did few spritzes of it, and I love this DNA, you guys. This one on a man in summer, it's amazing. This one for me is too citrusy, but let me just describe you how the fragrance smells like. Oh, by the way, you guys, they also provided my channel with a discount code, so in case you want to shop any of the fragrances why I'm losing my voice, so in case you want to shop any of the fragrances on the website, feel free to use the code AFG10 for 10% off. Feel free to use it, feel free to not use it, it's always up to you. I just mention that I have a certain discount code, but it's always up to you. I do not want to push my discount code down on your throat. So let me just spray this fragrance and cut the ramble, you guys, because it's so hot and I really want to film this video so I can try all these fragrances here with you. So many things are happening. First of all, it's fizzy, it's sparkling, it's citrusy. You have here a variety of citruses. On one hand, I detect something fizzy, lemony and acidic and cold and slightly refreshing. There's the lemon accord. I also detect in the background something like a sweet and sour bergamot. I also detect something like a sweet orange, something like this. So you have a variety. Let's just say you have a citrus bouquet in the opening, but the citruses are not sweet. Think devotion, think the inspiration from Lira. They are not those kind of citrus accords. The citruses are sparkling, are effervescent, are fizzy in a sense, and very realistic in the opening, and almost a tad refreshing in a sense. Yeah, and very bright and light and airy, but very nuanced. The citrusy bouquet here in the opening is very nuanced. So you have this citrusy facet with a very interesting, almost like mentholated green facet in the background, and it's almost like this mentholated green, almost like a minty green accord, but it's not overly herbal, overly aromatic. If anything, it's more refreshing and mentholated to my nose, and green. To me, this facet accentuates the citruses even more, and I also detect amongst all these nuances a very delicate, almost like a jasmine-like facet in a sense, like very airy and delicate and light and breezy, delicate floral trace. That's why I say jasmine, because usually when it's something that it's abstract and delicate and floral, like a white floral, usually it's jasmine in fragrances, you know, like a jasmine or like a white floral accord. All this with musk and this very interesting dry yet bright of a woody accord. I do detect a woody accord here that definitely feels dry, but it's not the kind of dry woody accord that feels very rich and very dense and very warm, and is not a robust woody accord. To me, is that kind of like dry and airy yet bright of a woody accord. No, this is how the fragrance smells like in the opening. To me, it smells modern, it smells chic, it smells... No, look, maybe chic, I don't know. Is it chic a good word? I feel like modern, because chic in a sense that it smells very minimalistic in a way, and I can't say molecular per se, but it has this very modern, androgynous quality about it. It's not the kind of fragrance that gives me like masculine vibes. Think like a barbershop fragrance or like a very aromatic green lavender citrusy fragrance, you know. It's not that kind of fragrance. To me, it's a citrus bouquet that's very multifaceted and vibrant and energizing in the opening. Like I've mentioned, you have different types of citruses that all add their own twist to the citrus bouquet, let's just say. But it's very interesting because as the fragrance develops, it changes so much, you guys. Now look, if this fragrance would have smelled like... Oh, I have a hair in my mouth. If this fragrance would have smelled like it smells in the heart, closer to the dry down, I could definitely wear this one myself as well. Because in the heart and in the dry down, especially in the sillage of the fragrance, like in the whiffs you get, if you have smelled, there's a fragrance from Mancera. I always thought that fragrance was called Femininity, but when I looked it up actually on Fragrantica to see the notes, it's actually called Femininity. So I'm not sure what Femininity means, but it's the fragrance called Femininity from Mancera. And I will actually add the notes here on the screen so you can take a look and at how these two notes breakdown compare. Because when I smelled this fragrance, basically I sprayed it in the box that it came with. I smelled it, I smelled the citruses, but then I left it on my desk while I was doing some work, and then I got whiffs of a fragrance that felt extremely familiar to me. And then it hit me. It smells legit like Femininity by Mancera smells in the sillage. So it's this very interesting, again, modern, sophisticated, somehow minimalistic, slightly floral, slightly woody, slightly powdery, slightly musky, a bit of everything without anything being too much, if you know what I mean. This is the fragrance. And why I say that I find it very familiar is because I have, basically it's a friend of a friend, and every time all three of us would go out together, she would smell like that fragrance, like Femininity by Mancera, but I never got to smell that fragrance on my skin. I always got to smell that fragrance on her, like in the sillage or when I was hugging her, you know. So this is why I say it smells just like Femininity by Mancera smells like in the sillage. So it starts off in a very citrusy and energizing and vibrant way, a very multifaceted citrusy accord with something mentholated, green and slightly refreshing in a sense. And then it moves into this very modern and minimalistic and androgynous, floral, musky, powdery, woodsy, dry, bright kind of fragrance. You guys, and it also smells blue. I don't know why I detect a slight marine twist to the fragrance. I love how this fragrance smells so much, but this one on a man, look, this one on a man, I love the scent of it. This one on me, I'm not really sure I will enjoy the citrusy opening, because like I've said, I can enjoy a citrus accord on someone else, but when it's a very multifaceted and pronounced citrus accord on me, I'm like, I don't know, you know. I don't know, I feel like I have other fragrances that work better for my taste. But this one on a man, you guys, I smelled it on my partner and I loved how it smelled on him. And it's interesting because, look, the opening, like I've mentioned, definitely feels, at least to my taste, considering I do not enjoy citruses and fragrances on me, I find it more masculine. But at the same time, like thinking about it, like, again, it's not too masculine to the point where it smells like a barbershop fragrance and you smell like a man that just trimmed his beard in the barbershop, you know. In a sense, I could picture this one on women as well, but only on women who have a taste for the kind of citrus accords that I described in the opening. However, this fragrance in the heart, and I was searching for this one, this fragrance in the heart and in the dry down, I could definitely pull this one off. It legit smells like the fragrance from Mancera. But again, in the sillage, because I have only smelled the fragrance in the sillage, but it smells just like that fragrance. Very modern take on a fragrance. And why I say minimalistic, it doesn't, it's present, it definitely projects, you guys, because like I told you, one of my partner's friends applied this fragrance on him, and I could definitely smell this fragrance when we were all together. So it definitely projects, but it's the kind of fragrance in a sense that morphs with your personality. Like if you are a man, I would say this is your typical like day-to-day casual sporty fragrance, perfect for the heat because it cuts that suffocating heat, especially if you have a heat wave at the moment. Honestly, these are the kind of fragrances that would work amazing in the heat wave. This is what I wanted to say. The opening, yes, it gives me unisex, maybe a little bit masculine, but the heart and the dry down are such chic and sophisticated, and that like smells expensive because it smells minimalistic in a sense, you know. It doesn't smell like it goes in a lot of different directions. It's this very simplistic and minimalistic, like I've said, slightly musky, slightly powdery, slightly dry, woody, and with that minty, refreshing twist in the background. Look, even though I haven't tried any fragrances that smell like this one, besides the one that I have mentioned, Femininity from Mancera, if I were to give you one fragrance, only one, I wanted to say few, but there's actually only one fragrance that somehow this could be like a distant cousin to it, it's the fragrance from Atyab El Marchoud, and the fragrance is called Atyab El Marchoud, Marchoud for white. That is a very interesting, like a minty, cardamom, musky fragrance. And even though this doesn't have cardamom to my nose, but it has the same style of mint that feels pretty refreshing and cold. And also this has to me an added like a marine touch in a sense, but it's not overly pronounced. In a sense, it's very well blended, that marine touch with the like minty green feel that's pretty refreshing, with that powdery woody vibe. I adore this fragrance. I adore this fragrance on men. On me, no. Now let me continue with the two inspirations that I have of Lost Cherry. Now, you know what? When they sent me the package and I opened it, I saw that both are 52. So in my mind, I was like, maybe they had no idea that I purchased one of the fragrances from them, and they sent me one again. And then one is called 52 Lost Cherry and the other one is called 52 Lovely Cherry. So I thought maybe they are different blends, but no, they are the same. I opened them. Yeah, maybe I will give this one to someone in my life, I don't know. But let me just smell the one that I purchased. And also, the font is rubbing off. This is the only complaint that I have about the bottles. Besides this, I really love how the bottles look. They are very sleek, 50 ml. You could easily put them in your purse. They are not very heavy. See, this smells just like all the inspirations that I have tried from Lost Cherry by Tom Ford. And of course, it smells just like Lost Cherry by Tom Ford. This smells like cherry compote, like cherry mixed with bitter cherry compote. It legit smells like this. It opens up with a burst of zesty, slightly sweet, slightly tangy, bitter cherry scent. Very ripe bitter cherry, but like I've mentioned, it's slightly sweet but slightly tangy as well. So you have this cherry facet that smells... I love the smell of cherry. Like I've mentioned, for me it's dear to my heart because I grew up with cherry compote, with bitter cherry compote, with sour cherry compote, with all kinds of anything cherry compote. So to me this scent is very dear to my heart. And you have this very well done cherry accord that sits on a beautiful, rich, dense, warm, nutty almondy base that gives a lot of density, that gives a lot of richness to that cherry compote. So it doesn't feel like a faint cherry trace. It feels actually like a very full-bodied and rich and dense and warm cherry accord, and with a hint of something vanillic in the background. Yeah, this is how it smells like. Something that I have noticed with the fragrances from Lorinna, you guys, with this brand in particular, and with the other ones that I will mention after, none of them have that alcohol blast in the opening. None of them feel cheap in the opening. So with some more affordable blends, let's just say, not in all cases, of course, I do not want to generalize, but in certain cases, when you spray a fragrance, the first few seconds you can really pick up that alcohol that they used to blend everything they want, everything that went there. With the fragrances from this brand, I haven't noticed this as alcohol. I haven't noticed this aspect, and also none of them feel flat and cheap in the opening. Because again, with certain brands and with certain fragrances, not even brands, what I have noticed is that the fragrance actually, let's just say that in the first few seconds, it feels pretty flat and pretty sharp in a sense, and only after you let it evolve on your skin, only after that it gets a chance to open up and to get richer and to evolve, basically. Look, with these fragrances, I haven't noticed this aspect, so bonus points with these guys. Bonus points with these ones for sure. For sure. See, as the fragrance develops now, the scent goes actually a little bit darker and you lose that very flavored or very nuanced bitter cherry accord. To me, the cherry now, if anything, is more like a cherry whiff than that sweet and tangy and zesty cherry in a sense. And that almondy facet starts to shine more. With the vanilla, you also get a delicate, almost like somewhat of an aromatic facet in the background, but it's very subdued and muted, so it's not like something that overshines the other notes. Look, all in all, this is a beautiful fragrance. For my taste, I rarely wear this one on its own. I prefer to wear this one as a topper or as a base in other mixes to amplify the cherry facet, or if I have any fragrances that are very cinnamon heavy or cinnamon dominant. I feel like cinnamon and cherry is like a match made in heaven, so I always do few spritties of anything cherry forward. So yeah, to me, beautiful blend, very smooth. By the way, performance for this one, I cannot tell you honestly. Maybe you know what I will do? I will spray it on my partner and I will time it when he gets back from work. So I will update you here on the screen. Performance on these fragrances, these from Lorinna, all of them are marketed as extrait de parfum. So all of them have 20% oil concentration. I don't know what to say about this, you guys. To me, again, not all of them perform like an extrait de parfum, but considering how affordable they are, I do not mind it. I feel like the performance for this one is average, honestly. Again, 5 hours on my skin, it lasts for sure. Anything after that, who knows, you guys? It's luck. Honestly, it's luck. Of course, if you have an oil, yes. If you have an oil that's inspired by Lost Cherry, by any thing like Lost Cherry, Electric Cherry, Cherry Smoke, Cherry Fume, something like this, if you mix the oil with the fragrance, perhaps you have a body lotion that's cherry scented as well, of course the fragrance will last much longer. But if I only apply this fragrance like I do, like few spritties on my skin, I feel like it lasts anywhere from 4 to 4.5 to 5 to 5.5 hours. But that's about that. So let's continue with the other fragrances and let's continue with their inspiration of Baccarat Rouge 540. When I spoke with them, they told me to choose some fragrances that I would like to test myself, and they also said that they will send me some of their bestsellers. So this is one of their bestsellers. I can see why, guys. everyone at the moment smells like Baccarat Rouge or a twist on the DNA, so it's a very popular DNA. Many people love it, many people hate it by now as well. So yeah, now the only unfortunate thing about this bottle in particular is that it leaks, so I have to keep it without this cap here. But let me just say, I think at least for 3 weeks I've had this cap off of the fragrance, but when I smell it like this, you guys, this fragrance is so strong. Oh my god, if you hate Baccarat Rouge, this will be a horror for you, but if you love the DNA, this is a strong fragrance, you guys. This is such a strong fragrance. Now look, this is an extrait de parfum. This is an extrait de parfum to me. But it's a very love-or-hate type of fragrance. A very love-or-hate type of fragrance. Depending, if you love the DNA, you will love this fragrance. If you hate the DNA, you will hate this fragrance. I mean, look, hate. Let me not use hate, because hate is such a strong word. You will not appreciate this fragrance. So let's see how I can get this one out without getting fragrance everywhere. Yeah, see, it opens up with that medicinal saffron that you have in Baccarat Rouge as well, and in a lot of other inspirations. But if I were to say, it's not too medicinal to the point where this fragrance is not wearable. It's like a medicinal yet with a sweet undertone in a sense. You have this medicinal saffron, you have a slight salty like nuance in the background, you have that specific oak moss that's like pretty earthy and green yet very dry. All this on that translucent ambery base that's specific to any other fragrances inspired by Baccarat Rouge. Yeah, safe to say, you guys, this goes in the same direction. As a reference, if I were to say, out of all the inspirations that I have tried, which one does this one remind me the most of, I would say it reminds me of the inspiration from Ibn al-Jibouti, the oil. Very similar, but I feel like this is actually a tad more medicinal. So it reminds me of that one, but it also reminds me of, have you tried that fragrance from Ajmal, Aristocrat for Her, in the purple bottle? Yes, it reminds me of that fragrance a little bit, but I would say this is like 5 times stronger, honestly. That fragrance was more mellow in a sense, more delicate. It took the DNA, but it had its own twist in a sense. This one, to me, it's clearly, you guys, this fragrance was created to be loud, to be obnoxious, to be projecting, to be low-key, a little bit intrusive. But this is the kind of fragrance for people who want to make a statement with their fragrance. This is the kind of fragrance that if you want your fragrance to be smelled like 10 blocks down, this is the kind of fragrance, honestly. And vice versa, if you do not like this kind of fragrances, I'm not really sure if this is the fragrance I would recommend you to try. But all in all, it's a very similar inspiration, and it's a very strong fragrance. Very strong, very projecting, very loud fragrance. Yeah, personally, I feel like for me it's a little bit too much. I'm not gonna lie, for me it's a little bit too strong. And also, considering that I smell this DNA everywhere, it's not really a DNA that, let's just say, is very dear to my heart in a sense. But I have friends who wear something like this, and I smell it on them. See, this to me is unisex. Legit, perfect unisex. So let's continue with their inspiration of Oud Satin Mood from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. This is called 99 Satin Mood. Again, I don't know if I have ever mentioned, but the presentation for these fragrances is so beautiful, you guys. It's simplistic yet very thought through in a sense. This one, to me, you know, I love the DNA of Oud Satin Mood. I love that kind of like sweet, rich, dense pink rose with a little bit of benzoin. Oh my god, you guys, only from smelling this fragrance right here, I feel like perhaps I smelled it too close to my nose, because now I have that scent lingering in my nostrils. This is more my style. Definitely, this is much more my style of fragrance. To me, this is a beautiful interpretation of the DNA. And why I say interpretation is because to me this doesn't copy the exact fragrance in a sense. I don't think they went for something like a one-on-one clone. To me, they took the DNA as an inspiration, and from there they added, in a sense, their own twist. But let me tell you how this fragrance smells like. See, right from the start, as I'm smelling it now, it follows the exact same DNA as Oud Satin Mood from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. You have that beautiful, luscious, full-bodied, rich, yet pink kind of rose. It's not a red rose to me, it's a pink rose that's very think like Turkish rose, like pink Turkish rose, that kind of rose that's highly scented, and it's almost like you dip your nose into dozens of pink rose petals. This is the feeling I have when I'm smelling this fragrance, but with an added oud accord. Look, you guys, to me, they definitely amplified here the oud accord, not compared to the OG fragrance, more like compared to the inspirations. If you have tried Ministry of Oud Satin Mood from Paris Corner, I hope I didn't butcher the name. If you have tried that fragrance, you know that is a take on the same DNA. However, to me, the oud there, it's like a delicate woody accord. Or if you have tried many other inspirations, usually the majority of inspirations have a very subdued and muted oud accord, because oud is not the most easy to tolerate, easy to digest accord in fragrances or not. It can be very like love or hate, and definitely polarizing kind of accord. However, even though they were not afraid to amplify the oud accord, to me they didn't create, at least to my nose, an oud accord that feels barnyard, that feels acidic, anything like Hindi oud, you know. To me, the style of oud they created here, I think a very dark yet rich woody style of oud. So the oud here, it's very easy to wear, of course, as long as you have a taste for oud. If you don't have a taste for oud, you will not appreciate this oud accord either. But like, objectively speaking, it's nothing barnyard, it's nothing acidic, it's nothing pungent, it's nothing sour, nothing animalic. It's not that Hindi style of oud. And I feel like it's not even like a fickle oud, you know. It's like I've mentioned, you guys, it's a very rich woody style of oud that complements so well that rose that feels very luscious. So like I've mentioned, you have the oud, you have the rose, you also have that candied violet smell, but I also detect a tea-like quality. And I kept smelling this fragrance and smelling this fragrance, and I was like, what's this added nuance? Because it smells like a somewhat something like floral yet tea-like. And then when I looked at the nose, I saw that it has listed chamomile. Yes, you definitely smell the chamomile here, but how it comes across to my nose is not one of the main accords. To me, it sits in a way deep in the background behind the other notes, and it just adds a little bit of something else. I think something gently floral with a tea-like twist in a sense, but not dewy and aquatic. More like, I don't want to say herbal, yeah, I guess in a sense a little bit herbal, yes. But it's very subdued, this nuance, subdued yet present enough that I smell it. But to me, this is all about the rose and the oud here, and that candied violet that's, like I've mentioned, done in a very similar style to Oud Satin Mood. And with the baby powder, yeah, this follows the exact same direction, however with a twist of its own, I feel like. So I would say this: if you want to try an inspiration of Oud Satin Mood that smells like that fragrance, but the oud is actually amplified to my nose, much more amplified, and also the oud, from what I've noticed from smelling it on my skin, it will last from the opening up until the dry down. It's not the kind of oud accord that perhaps you get it in the opening for a few minutes and then it settles and it disappears eventually. No, to me this is the kind of oud accord that lingers on your skin, lingers on your clothes, but keep in mind, nothing barnyard, nothing fickle, nothing pungent, nothing sour. It's a very well done oud accord that feels expensive, you guys. It feels expensive. It adds a lot of richness to the fragrance, it adds a lot of depth to the fragrance, but it doesn't overpower the other notes. Yeah, but keep in mind that tea-like quality. Keep in mind that tea-like quality, because I feel like unless you, how to say, you guys, in a sense, it's not the most safe one to blind buy when it comes to inspirations, because in a sense, these people from Lorinna, they didn't try to just take the most likable notes and then make a fragrance of their own. Usually this is what happens in a lot of cases when it comes to fragrance inspiration. They take the most likable, easier to enjoy, and the most memorable notes and accords for that scent DNA in a sense, and they make it into a fragrance of their own. Look, to me, they went here for a reinterpretation of the DNA with an emphasis on the oud accord, with a very similar style of rose, very similar style of candied violet, and with an added chamomile-like, tea-like and gently floral-like facet in the background. That to me, I can't say that it breaks the fragrance, but it's definitely not everyone's cup of tea. But again, if you are looking for something a little bit more unique, you have this one. Let me continue with the next fragrance. This is one called GANYMOOD, and I think this is inspired by a fragrance from Marc-Antoine Barrois, GANYMADE, something like this. I haven't tried that fragrance, so I cannot compare it, but to me this fragrance leans masculine for sure. Personally, I wouldn't wear this fragrance myself. I would picture this fragrance on a man. But this fragrance is so interesting, you guys, because smells definitely abstract. Smells very abstract and arty and creative in a sense. Yeah, let me just spray this fragrance as well. Now, this fragrance, this smells airy, ozonic in the opening. Smells like a burst of cold air with a suede accord I detect. That's quite dry. Also like a dry woodsy accord. The fragrance itself feels pretty dry, a little bit rough dry of a dry accord. And it feels salty, somehow fresh and marine. A little bit, it smells like rocks, like rocks after the rain, you guys. So a little bit mineral in a sense. And you have all these different things going on in the fragrance. But it's a very edgy and artistic and creative style of fragrance. It's a very hipster-like fragrance in a sense. I mean, it's definitely not the kind of fragrance that you smell everywhere, you know, and it definitely doesn't follow the typical blue, freshy DNA that you have in a lot of masculine fragrances. Mineral, like I said, it smells like the smell of rocks after the rain. It smells like that. It smells a little bit salty, ozonic, airy, fresh and marine in a sense. And I smell a suede accord here. I'm not really sure if it has listed a suede accord or not, but to me I smell this dry suede-like, woodsy-like accord that feels very dry, and it just adds a little bit of depth to the fragrance. Yeah, and it smells very round, like the fragrance bubble feels very round even though it feels dry, and it feels definitely has a slight translucency to it. And it has a lot of things going on, and I have to say it has certain facets and accords that smell like something you would find in nature, but it also has certain facets and accords that smell like something that you would make in a lab, you know? Yeah, it mixes in a scents that you naturally find in nature with scents that are like you cannot even possibly find them in nature, something like this. This is the feel it gives me. Look, this is edgy. This is edgy, this is unapologetic, this is a statement fragrance for sure. And also this is a fragrance that to me, let's just say, leaves a very different impression than, for instance, fragrances like these ones that more or less, even though I cannot pinpoint a fragrance that smells exactly like this one, but I have smelled fragrances somewhat similar to this one. However, I have never smelled anything remotely similar to this fragrance. And also, as a reference, this is more masculine, and compared to this one, I feel like it's more unisex. Those are my thoughts on this fragrance. Not a safe blind buy. Unfortunately, I cannot compare it with the original fragrance. But anyways, you guys, from what I saw on their website, they have a discovery kit with fragrances from Lorinna, so in case you wanted to try perhaps some of their blends before blind buying, I would highly encourage you to get the discovery kit, test the fragrances first and see how you feel about them. So we have 4 fragrances left. We have here a fragrance from a brand called Eva Daniela, and the fragrance is called Poison or Poison. We also have a fragrance from Lorinna that's an inspiration of More Than Words from Zerzhov, and we have here 2 fragrances left to talk about. Both of these fragrances are from a brand called Edossa, and one is an inspiration of Naxos from Zerzhov, and the other one is an inspiration, I guess Naxos is from Zerzhov, from what I remember. And the other one is an inspiration of Angel's Share from Kilian. Now, these ones, like I've mentioned, I received them as like a gift for purchase when I purchased myself a few different fragrances from their website. Yeah, like I've mentioned, let's continue with this fragrance because I've tried it so many times that I could describe it to you with my eyes closed. Look, to me, again, just like Satin Mood, the inspiration of Satin Mood, that it's a reinterpretation of that scent DNA, of that scent composition. Here it's as well, it's a reinterpretation. The opening to my nose doesn't give me, it gives me Hypnotic Poison with a twist. To me, it gives me Hypnotic Poison. So you have that nutty, almondy, vanillic facet with a lot of what I smell here, a lot of orange blossom, like something orangey, but like a sweet orange blossom in a sense. And with something a little bit amber in the background, like something resinous. Yeah, this is why to me in the opening this is a reinterpretation of the DNA. However, as the fragrance develops, it follows the exact same DNA as Hypnotic Poison, so it morphs into this beautiful, warm, dense, nutty, almondy accord with a little bit of vanilla that again feels very cozy for me, comforting, feminine, a little bit sensual in a sense, and with I don't know why I smell a little bit of coconut, honestly. Like a creamy, slightly coconut facet, and like a deep fruity accord in the background. Something a little bit sticky of a fruity accord. This fragrance overall feels very rich and dense, and again it feels like a very robust of a scent DNA. It's not the kind of fragrance that feels very breezy, very airy, you know. It's definitely the kind of fragrance that it's on the heavier side without being challenging by any means. Yes, you guys, now look, you know, I have another inspiration of Hypnotic Poison in my collection. I'm not really sure if this is an inspiration to the EDT or EDP version, but I'm tempted to say it's this one here on the screen, because I have a sample of the other one, and to me, compared to that one and compared to the inspiration that I have from Haifa in my collection, to me this fragrance again goes into a bit of a different direction, but it's more in the opening and as it's transitioning into the heart notes, because from the heart till the dry down, to me, definitely when you smell this fragrance you think of Poison, not Poison, Hypnotic Poison from Dior. Again, very feminine, very dainty, very cozy, comforting and romantic in a sense. So yeah, those are my thoughts on this fragrance. Maybe if you are interested, I could definitely do a dedicated review where I compare it to the samples that I have of Hypnotic Poison, where I compare it to the other fragrance that I have from Haifa that's an inspiration of Hypnotic Poison. So in case you're interested in a dedicated review for this one, let me know, because otherwise I cannot go too much in depth, because then we would be here for 2 hours talking about fragrances. And honestly, even though I wouldn't mind it, but I don't know who has the time and the patience to sit here and to listen to me talking for 2 hours straight. So let's move on to the last fragrance from Lorinna. Even though this is a pretty heavy fragrance, this one I've only smelled it once prior. Maybe I should go with the other two fragrances. Let's just go with this one, you guys. Anyways, my nose, I trained my nose to be able to smell so many fragrances without going blind in a sense. This is your typical Middle Eastern style of fragrance. Yeah, right from the start here I smell a woodsy accord, I smell patchouli, some spices in a sense. So let's see. Let me actually apply this fragrance as well. Also, this fragrance is very strong. Let's see how this one smells like. Ooh, this is balsamic. This is very balsamic. And does it have an oud accord listed? It's balsamic, it's deep, it's that specific raw balsamic quality that you have in fragrances like Click-Song from Nuit Nomade, that you have in Imperial Oud from Al Haramain, that you have in fragrances. It's that specific raw labdanum balsamic, like edgy accord that feels very, for lack of a better word, raw. It legit smells raw, you guys. I don't know how to describe it, but it smells very raw and unapologetic. And I smell an oud accord. I don't know if it's like a woody accord or if it's like an oud style of accord, but feels rich and woody. I also smell something green here. I think green and very aromatic and a little bit grounding. This is the feeling that it gives me, so I'm guessing it's patchouli. And also something spicy green. I don't know why I detect something spicy green in a sense. I don't know why coriander, maybe it's just in my mind, I don't know. For this one I don't have the notes, I haven't looked them up, you guys, so I cannot. But I will add a note here on the screen. Slightly powdery, but this is your typical Middle Eastern style of fragrance. Very multifaceted, very complex, heavy, opulent, royal, unapologetic, that kind of fragrance. This is a statement. This is not a safe blind buy for sure. I feel like this is a unisex fragrance, perfect unisex to me. Maybe unless you don't have, if you do not have a taste for balsamic fragrances or patchouli in your fragrances as a woman, of course you will feel like it leans more masculine. But if you enjoy patchouli, if you enjoy labdanum, ambery accords, but it's not even an ambery accord, to me it's more like labdanum. Yeah, let me just leave this fragrance aside for a little bit so it can evolve and transform and tell you how it smells as it evolves. But first, not even first impression, because I have smelled this fragrance once for sure, twice I'm not really sure, but this is a very unapologetic style of fragrance, and this is something that, let's just say, you need to have a specific taste to appreciate something like this in a fragrance. To me, because of how complex it is, because of the level of opulence it has in a sense. I would say it leans definitely more elegant. I don't know, to me this is the kind of fragrance you wear when you want something that screams confidence, that screams an assertive quality. Even if you're a woman, even if you're a man, that person is very like assertive and self-assured and very confident, and he or she speaks with power in his or her voice, you know. Yeah, this is the vibe this fragrance gives me. Now I smell rose as well, but the rose is not the star of the show, at least at this moment on, no. Now, as this fragrance gets a chance to develop a little bit here, I do smell something a little bit sweet, but it's almost there in a sense, enough to cut a little bit from the roughness of the fragrance, from this raw, unapologetic quality to the fragrance. But to me, I don't find this fragrance particularly sweet. I wouldn't call this a sweet fragrance. To me, what shines the most is the balsamic quality, is the spiciness of this fragrance. Even though that very vibrant spicy facet that it had in the opening, something like peppery and also something like green and spicy, that peppery facet faded away, but now I detect something fresh, green, spicy. Coriander, I don't know, not cardamom, if anything coriander. Yeah, slightly salty in a sense, a little bit woody, but that's very like rich and robust. I love woody accord. Yeah, all in all, it's an opulent fragrance, it's a royal fragrance, it's a fragrance when you want to show off with your perfume, it's a fragrance that you wear when you want to make an impression. You need to have a taste for Middle Eastern fragrances to fully appreciate this fragrance. I don't think it's a safe blind buy, but if you have a taste for this kind of fragrances, I do think it's one that makes a beautiful impression. So those were my thoughts on that fragrance, and let's move on to the last two fragrances. Let's move on to the inspiration of Angel's Share. You guys, I have smelled so many inspirations lately of Angel's Share, but this is a good one, especially for the price. It's a good one. I still feel like I prefer the one from Fragrance World, but let's see. It's so nice, you guys. Opens up with the smell of like an apple pie that should have taken it out from, let me think, from the freezer or from the fridge. I'd say from the fridge because it doesn't have that icy cold facet that other inspirations have. But this is cold. This smells like a very cold apple pie that you just took it out from the fridge. You put it on the side to warm up a little bit, and you smell the cinnamon, you smell the baked apples, but keep in mind the baked apples that are cold, they are not warm. And you smell that cinnamon facet that adds this beautiful sweet and spicy aura to the fragrance. Maybe you smell something somehow a little bit boozy, but I don't feel like the boozy aspect in this fragrance shines that much. Definitely very similar to the one from Fragrance World, French Avenue, Royal Blend, the simple one. A very similar vibe. I love this DNA. I love this DNA. If you wanted the inspiration to Angel's Share, if you are passionate about this scent profile and you would like to try different brands, why not try this one from Edossa as well? I don't think you will be disappointed. Now, from what I remember, performance on my skin, again, this is the one of inspiration of Naxos. This is the one. 5 hours, you guys. But look, in general, fragrances that have decent performance, they last anywhere from 5 to 6 hours on my skin. Fragrances that have amazing performance, they last anywhere from 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 to 12 hours. Arabian Stonka lasts 12 hours, like freaking 12 hours on my skin. That's crazy. That's sorcery. I don't know what they did with that fragrance. This fragrance lasts, I would say, 5 hours on my skin for sure. On clothes, I haven't done like a proper wear test for this fragrance, but it's such a beautiful DNA, and you have this really dry yet bright woodsy accord in the background. I really love how this DNA smells like, guys. I really love how this DNA smells like. It feels, again, it feels like it has somewhat of an airy quality in a sense, some transparency throughout this composition. It doesn't feel like a very condensed fragrance in a sense. It feels sweet and spicy and delicious and playful, and I love this DNA. I love this DNA, so keep in mind, maybe I'm a little bit biased when I say that I love this fragrance so much, but I do love this fragrance so much. And I love this DNA, and from all the other ones that I have tried, which, let me think, so I've tried Hamra, of course. I've tried from Khatlaj, not Intoxicated. Oh guys, there are so many names. I will add the fragrances on the screen as a reference. My two favorite ones are this one, that one that I got from Dubai collection, Royal Blend, and Amber Rhythm, that has facets of angel share with a twist similar to Instant Crush. So yeah, that's that. And now we got to the last fragrance for today's video, guys. And I feel like good thing this is the last fragrance, because after this I have to take a break from smelling all these fragrances. And again, these are more like, look, I cannot really call them in-depth reviews because it's impossible to do like an in-depth review on these many fragrances, because your nose, of course, after a while, even though you can smell the fragrance and you can get a brief feel of the fragrance, you cannot really smell that like subtle hints and subtle nuances that make a difference, you know, like if you're a fragrance enthusiast, you know that the difference is in those subtle nuances and subtle facets in a sense. So yeah, I don't know why I was smelling this, because I haven't sprayed any fragrance on it, but let me just spray fragrance now. Do you see what happens with my brain after I smell so many fragrances? So let's see. I don't think, maybe I have tried an inspiration of Naxos from Dubai collection, but I don't remember exactly. I'm not really sure, but let's see how this one smells like. This is sweet, yet mentholated and powdery. Oh, this is very mentholated, so mentholated and cold that it unclogs my nose in a sense. And green. Okay, so it's this very interesting fusion. Green on one hand that feels very aromatic and mentholated and chilly in a sense. Like I told you, it feels like it unclogs my nose. A sweet accord that feels very syrupy. Think honey, something honeyed like there. Something powdery and woodsy in the background. Oh, this feels so mentholated in the opening. Wow. Wow. Do I smell lavender here? I think I smell lavender here as well, because it has this not really soapy, but in a sense almost like a shower gel undertone to it, but like a high quality shower gel, not like one of those cheap flat ones. I have to say this fragrance smells very expensive. This fragrance smells very expensive. But it's such an interesting fusion. I told you, out of my mind it goes in like these different directions. Mentholated, aromatic and green. And this is the facet that's the most dominant in the opening. It feels like it unclogs my nose, but in a good sense. I don't have any issues against this accord. Even though I wouldn't wear it myself, but if I were to smell it on someone else, on a man, on a woman, I wouldn't mind it. It doesn't feel like it throws the composition off. In a sense, it adds a very unexpected twist, but it's very well received here in a sense, because it cuts a little bit from that sweetness of the honey. So even though the honey feels warm and dense and syrupy, but because you have this mentholated aura, and when I mean mentholated, I don't mean camphorous. No. Let me just make a small clarification here. When I mean mentholated, I mean in like a refreshing minty way. That's gently aromatic as well. This fragrance, like that sweet honeyed, almost tobacco-like accord, reminds me a little bit of Amber Oud tobacco from Al Haramain. But imagine you take that accord and you cover it, you dress it, you coat it into very different nuances. So even though it does have a similar honeyed, almost gently tobacco. Oh my god, you guys, it doesn't make sense. Let me rephrase this. So even though it does have a slight honeyed-like tobacco facet in the background, but the kind of accords that you have on top of it are so different that they make this composition go into a very different direction. I haven't tried anything that smells like this. Now the mint really shines, you guys. Look, I don't know if this has mint or not, but I'm telling you, even though the mint is not listed, I definitely get mint. I definitely get mint. Now it's almost a little bit herbal as well. I have that sensation like if you have ever picked wild mint from the mountains or from your hiking trips, like whenever you go in nature, if you have ever picked like wild mint, you know the kind of scent that lingers on your fingers, that's slightly herbal but very minty and aromatic. You have the same scent here as well. Look, you guys, this fragrance is edgy. This fragrance, again, is not the kind of fragrance that you smell everywhere. You know, it's not the kind of fragrance that you smell on everyone walking down the street. It's unique. It's definitely unique. And I have to say, it smells very expensive. It smells very expensive. It definitely doesn't smell like a fragrance that costs this much. And as the fragrance develops, let's just say that the ratio between that mentholated refreshing aspect, between the honeyed tobacco, and between that like dry, bright, woody, musky facet changes a little bit. I feel like slowly but surely the fragrance gets slightly denser and richer, and that honeyed tobacco facet starts to shine more. You still have this refreshing minty quality, but it's not as nuanced, it's not as loud, it's not as pronounced in a sense. It's a bit more subdued, yet it's present. I can definitely smell it. And slightly dry, woody facet in the background. Yeah. You guys, I feel like at this moment on, after smelling all of these fragrances, that's the best way I can describe this fragrance, but it smells very expensive, you guys. Look, I have to say, I think I've only tried these two fragrances from Edossa, but I will look into trying more. By the way, I don't know if I have mentioned, but all these three brands are from Turkey. They are based in Turkey. I know for sure Lorinna Fragrances because I read a little bit more about them. They purchase their fragrance oils from France and they manufacture all their fragrances in Turkey where they have a factory. For Mad Perfumes, I think it's the same story. It's a Turkish brand, and Edossa also I think it's a Turkish brand. But I will add a few more pieces of information about these brands here on the screen. Now, if I were to make let me just say like a top 5. It's hard, you guys, it's very hard. Look, of course, on the first spot I would have to put the two fragrances that I haven't reviewed in today's video because those are the ones that I have worn the most. So on the first spot we have Lira and the inspiration of Lira from Casamorati, from Zerjov, and the inspiration of Devotion from Dolce & Gabbana. So on the second spot, let me think a little bit. I think I will put this fragrance, GUMIN, or GUMIN, or GUMIN. GUMIN, I will just call it GUMIN. I love how this fragrance smells like. I love how this fragrance smells like. Ah, I love it. I love it. Unisex though, not just a masculine fragrance. Women who have a taste for this kind of fragrances could pull it off as well easily. On the third spot, I would have to put the inspiration of Satin Mood because I love what they created here. It's a very unique take on the DNA. I mean, look, very unique. It's the same DNA, but with a twist and with the oud accord amplified. Then, look, I really enjoyed their inspiration of Lost Cherry as well, but I have tried so many inspirations so that I can say that it has wowed me in any way. But let me just say, the other three fragrances, look, if you love Baccarat Rouge, of course, the inspiration of Baccarat Rouge is amazing. But for me, it's a bit too much for my taste. This is why I say the other ones that have really impressed me. This inspiration of Angel's Share from Edossa, this inspiration of Naxos, even though I wouldn't wear it myself, and the inspiration of More Than Words, even though again I wouldn't wear this one myself. Even though I appreciate balsamic fragrances, balsamic rosy fragrances, but I like them with a little bit more sweetness. These are the fragrances that I have tried in today's video. It's safe to say my nose is done for the day, you guys. Like, I can just like relax after this because I don't feel like I will smell anything else after. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the team from Parfumat.ro for sending me all these fragrances to test them. I have to say I've discovered pretty unique fragrances, and one thing that I have noticed, look, if it's an inspiration of a heavy fragrance, expect heaviness in the inspiration as well. It's not the kind of inspiration that just takes a little bit of the scent DNA but makes it very flat and soft. No, this is not soft. This is not soft. The inspiration of Naxos is not soft. These are fragrances that they are strong, you guys. They are strong, and they definitely don't smell like 15 euro fragrances. Which was this one? So this is More Than Words. Oh my god, this is Naxos. You guys, how well it has developed. This is sexy for a man. Oh, this is sexy. This is very sexy on a man. Wow. I have to try this one on my partner. Wow. Wow. If you enjoyed the DNA of Naxos, I would highly encourage you to test this sample. Get a sample if you have the possibility from the website. I know they sell samples for some of their fragrances. I don't know if they'll sell samples for all the fragrances, but if you have the possibility, get a sample of this fragrance or a decant. Or if you know the DNA of Naxos, perhaps, and you want a more affordable inspiration, get this one. Again, unfortunately, I cannot tell you how similar they are, but you guys, when I'm smelling this fragrance now, this is sexy on a man. Oh wow. And the sweetness is not too sickening, it's just balanced enough by all the other facets. that aromatic facet, but now the tobacco really got a chance to shine, the tobacco and the honey. Okay, this fragrance, look, this one, Edossa 507 Naxos. I have to try it more on my skin and see, because see, as it smells now, I could definitely wear it in cold weather. Even though on a man, if any of the fragrances caught your interest and you would like to do and you would like me to do an in-depth review of any of these fragrances, please let me know and I will definitely make that happen. Of course, if you would like to shop any fragrances from Parfumat.ro, make sure to use the code AFG10 for 10% discount code. So yeah, this is everything I wanted to say. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Again, if you have any questions about these fragrances, feel free to put them in the comment section down below and I promise that I will get back to you. I will see you in my next video, guys, but until then, thank you so much for watching and I want to wish you an amazing day wherever you are. Bye, guys.